Shalom, guys. Here we are. Let's hit it. We are on Exodus. Perek Vav. That's chapter 6. Woo! We are making good progress, tearing through this book. Hope you guys are learning something. Again, don't feel discouraged if you're not able to get everything that we talk about. But if you stick with it, and especially if you've got some external way of learning Hebrew, you're trying to learn Hebrew, you can actually learn it this way too. Some people can pick it up just through straight immersion, but this is definitely what's lacking from most courses in Hebrew today. And a lot of them, they'll teach you modern Hebrew too, which is really not what we're about. What is this thing here? I'm trying to, what is that? There's nothing there. It's like, what is that? Don't understand. Oh, I think I know. Nope. This thing is bothering me. There's something there, but there's nothing there. What is it? Could it possibly be? Nope, that's out of the field of view. Bizarre. Oh, I have an idea. I wonder if it's... Okay. No problem. We can fix that. And it's gone. And there. Yay. Hallelujah. All right, so shalom. Dr. Dwayne, Christopher, James. By the way, James, I saw you had some comments, but I just saw them just now. Sorry. I was out and I just got back. So I'll make sure to get to those later. Thank you for interacting with the video content, guys. Let's just say a real quick prayer. Avinu Malkeinu Todah Lecha. Ki anachnu yochalim lilmod et divrecha. Tishlach na ruach hakodesh aleinu Adonai. Lolano lecha yihyeh kol hakavod. All right. And some of the Messianics might be like, why didn't he say B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach? So what it means to ask the Father for something in my name, it doesn't mean we have to literally say his name. Remember, in Hebrew, the word name, shem, means reputation, authority, right? So the fact when we ask in Yeshua's name, it just means that because we belong to him, that HaShem, the Father, will hear our prayers. Okay? Let me know if the sound is okay over there, guys. And we are continuing with Chapter 6. Kudos to those of you who are sticking with the reading. This will, over time, really help, I believe. Let me just drink a water real quick. All right. Let's go. So here we have Moshe's asleep. Snoozing. And we get this, verse 1. Exodus chapter 6, verse 1 in the original Hebrew says, Vayomer Adonai el Moshe. Then Adonai said el unto Moses. By the way, this is visual, so hope you guys are watching. It's okay if you just listen, but I think you'll get a lot more out of it if you're watching what we have going on the screen. That goes for all of my teachings. Usually we color code stuff and do all kinds of stuff up on the screen. I know Dr. Dwayne's also has a lot of visual stimuli that helps make the teaching more interesting and easier to follow. Okay, atah. So don't confuse this with atah with an aleph. This is with an ayin. It means now. Tir'eh, you will see. Asher. Okay, so this is what, which, etc. I say, I will do leFaro, to Pharaoh. Ki veyad chazaka yeshallechem. Okay. Ki, for, veyad. Beit, we're not going to say in here. This is more like with a yad, with a, this, by the way, this thing, you see this? This. This is called a yad. It's a thing, okay, it's not focusing so well. This is, here, better here. This is a yad, right? So it's a hand, right? With the yad, it's like if you're reading from the Torah scroll on the shul, you could say, hey, give me the yad, please, or where's the yad? Oh, it's over there. You pick it up, okay? V'yad chazakah, with a strong arm. Yeshalachem, he will, yeshalech, he will send out, them. Uviyad chazakah, and with a strong yad, yegoshem. Actually, I think that's yegareshem, pardon me. Yegareshem, he will drive out, them. May, from, artso, his erets. Okay? Remember, actually you don't have to remember this, but if you're wondering why that doesn't look like erets, when you have a noun, we call them segolets, and it starts with the sound, like melech, erets, etc., and you put a suffix on the end, the spelling will change to ah. So for example, melech means king. Malki is my king, or malko, if we use the O from here, it's his king. Okay? Nefesh is life, or throat, right? Maybe neck better. I want to say my neck or my throat, my life, my soul. Nefesh becomes nafshi. If it's his nefesh, follow the same pattern here, nafsho. And so the same thing with erets. Erets becomes artso. Okay? May from artso, his erets. Right? Everybody good? Comments or questions? All right, let's continue. Ooh. This one, I kind of feel the artist got a bit lazy. Let me show you the frame. So we have like all those verses and just one picture. Come on, this was $40 for this book. Where are my other pictures, man? All right. I also don't think this picture was too difficult to do. Oh, look at those bricks. Come on. All right, so I'm going to zoom in now on the actual words. I know it's blurry. Hold on. There we go. Boom. Hey, Shalom Sosa. Glad you're here, Achi. All right, continuing. Exodus chapter 6, verse 4. Vegam haqimoti et beriti itam. Okay. Vegam. So this is like an enforcing gam, right? Literally it says and also, but sometimes this translates more like surely or definitely, right? I'm going to be hyper-literal because I don't want to assume where people are in their knowledge of Hebrew. So I think it's better to be hyper-literal when you're first learning to read with the text, right? And then you can get a feel for kind of some of the more loose translation. Vegam, and also, haqimoti. So this literally means, I will cause to kum, right? The verb is kum. Kuf, shurik, which is a vav, it's gone. And mem, this is a weak verb, a hollow verb, so that middle u is gone, right? Like Yeshua says, kuma tabitha, right? Rise up, girl, right? Get up, girl. So it's gone. That happens. The vav disappears. And then we have a hey at the beginning. That hey at the beginning tells us what's happening with the verbal stem here. It means the general meaning of the verb, causative. Sometimes it's elative, but this is causative, okay? So to cause to get up, to cause to arise. So metaphorically, this is something like to establish or to confirm, right? I think I'd rather go with confirm. So haqimoti, I will confirm, or I will establish, it's fine. Et beriti. E is my, berit is covenant, right? So in the States, when a boy is getting circumcised, you probably heard it, everybody's heard of this, right? Called the bris, right? Bris. That's just because Ashkenazim transliterate the tav when there's no dot as an S sound. That's why. So brit, it's brit, right? Or brith in ancient pronunciation. That's why B'nai Berith, right? The organization B'nai Berith, that's why they're called Brith, right? Or Beth Israel Hospital, the Jewish hospital. Wow, that's shaking a lot today. I'm sorry. Why is that shaking so much? Hope I'm not making you sick with that. Okay. So Beriti is my covenant. Burrito, no, it's not just yummy Mexican food, burrito, but burrito means his covenant. Okay, so there, you got a free one there. A burrito is his covenant. What? Okay. Beriti. So vegam haqimoti et beriti, And also I will establish or cause to go up, to stand, cause to stand, my berit, my covenant. Itam, with them. Okay? So, a little neat way to remember this word, eat. Eat means with. There's lots of words that mean with, right? But eat, think about it, with me is et, right? So think of et, for hope. So et is with me. So if that helps you, et is with me, you got a free word. Okay? Itam, the m at the end, where are we? Is them, with them. Latate, to give. Lahem, to them. Et erets Canaan. Okay, and here we have, this is called a construct, right? And so we have to say the, because this word is an actual name. Canaan, that's a name, right? So the erets of Canaan, the land of Canaan. Et erets migureyhem, the land of their sojournings, right? Meaning we didn't really belong there, right? It's from the verb gul. But now don't get confused. There's two verbs gur. They look exactly alike, okay? Actually, there's more, but the main usages are gul, to sojourn, and this is another weak verb. That's why it's gone. That's why there is no vav there. He fell away, right? We just have gimel and resh left. The other one, which is actually gur number 4, gur means to terrify. So we don't mean the land of their terrifying. Okay? Clearly, the context shows us it's the land of their sojournings. Okay? Asher, which, garu, they sojourned, not they terrified, va, in it. Literally, it says in her. The ha. Now, that is not a dagesh. Hey cannot take a dagesh. You can't double a hey. This is what we call a Mappiq. It looks exactly like dagesh, and it tells you to aspirate the hey. Why? Because hey was one of the first vowel letters, right? Before we had all these little dots, the nikudot, right, or nikudim, nikud, whoever you're talking to calls it differently. Before you had all these dots that tell us how to pronounce the words, we had 3 vowel letters. These are letters that sometimes are consonant, sometimes they're a vowel. They're hey, yod, and vav, because it was waw back then, right? So those are the 3 that sometimes were vowel sounds, all right? So usually when you see a hey at the end of the word, you're not going to pronounce it, right? Like Moshe. We don't say Moshe, right? Man, it's shaking so much. Sorry. But if you put the dot in the end, that Mappiq, that tells you to pronounce it. So sometimes you'll hear me say bah. Okay, that's why. Right? In it. It's feminine because land, even though it doesn't look like it, the word land is feminine. And, I'm not sure that this is true, but this is something my rabbi taught me when I was studying for my bar mitzvah. I'm like, why is erets feminine, right? And why is ir feminine? Like ir is city, right? They don't look feminine. And he said, well, it's because the land is like the mother of its inhabitants, right? And the city, it's the mother, also like a mother of its inhabitants, something like that. And so that's why those words are feminine. And whether it's right or not, it's a good way to remember it. Okay, so there we go. Shout out to Rabbi Jacob if you see this anywhere. All right, continue on. Verse 5. Shalom tet. Vegam ani, and also I, ani is I, shamaeti, heard, et na'akat b'nei Yisrael. This is all a long construct chain, okay? This word is actually na'aka, ending in a hey. So like I discussed last night, or pardon me, yesterday morning, if you're in the Western Hemisphere, the tav changed to a hey. I mean, the hey changed back to its original tav, right? So when you see a word that usually ends in hey, and now it's tav, that's a good hint that this means of, okay? So na'aka is cry, like an outcry, an outburst, something like that. Na'akat is a crying of b'nei, so that's the same thing. From banim, the mem fell away, so that also means of. So the outcry of the b'nei Israel, the children of Israel. Shamaeti, I have heard. And by the way, this is a little bit, it's not just heard in English. whenever God is the subject, it's not that he doesn't, when the Bible tells us that he doesn't hear the prayers of the wicked, it doesn't mean he's unaware of them, okay? It means he doesn't answer them, right? So when God says, shamaeti, I heard, it means he's either answered or prepared to answer, right? He's taking action to make it be answered. That's why when HaShem answers one of our prayer requests, it's fitting to say a special bracha. We say, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, asher shomea tefillah. Bless you, Lord God, King of the universe, who hears prayer, right? The idea is who answers prayer, right? So it's kind of a little nuanced meaning there when God is the one doing the shemaing. When he tells us to shema with the Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, right? That one, he's not telling us to hear Israel. We translate hear Israel, right? But that's not really what it means. That nuance, same verb, is obey, right? So this is just kind of a little example of how the biblical Hebrew vocabulary is very heavily nuanced. Context, more than any other language I've ever seen, context really, truly is king. It really helps you to decide. These usually just get translated here, I think because translators like to just err on the side of safety, right? If you translate, I decided to act, then someone's going to criticize. That's not what it says here. But is he really hearing? I mean, right? I mean, is he using his ears? The Father has ears or something, right? So anyway, he's answering, right? He's deciding to answer the prayer. All right. Asher, who, so this is the Bnei Israel, Asher, who, Mitzrayim, Ma'avadim otam. Okay, so whom Egypt, Ma'avadim, enslaved otam, them. Okay. James says, would it be right to say he doesn't dignify them? Yeah, I think that's fair, James. Yeah. I think that's, you could totally translate it that way. That's a good dynamic approach. Vaezikor et beriti. And here we have another word that's kind of really metaphorical. It says, vaezikor, and I remembered. So ezikor means I will remember, but the vav changes the time, right? So when we have it here, this actually means I remembered, not I will remember. The vav, think of the flux capacitor from Back to the Future. That's the flux capacitor. It changes the time. In my personal Bible notes, when like in the Psalms, when a word that usually we would expect to be future is functioning as past, or vice versa, even without the vav, that happens sometimes. I have a little symbol I like to put there that's got the flux. It's the flux capacitor. If you've ever seen that. Okay, so vaezikor, and I remembered. So I heard and I remembered et beriti, my covenant. So again, does it mean like Ibn Ezra likes to say, so he forgot? No, he never forgot. When we say that Hashem remembers, this means he is taking action. That's really what it means, right? God doesn't forget, so he doesn't remember. You see, he doesn't. It wouldn't make sense to say I remembered, because he never forgot. It means he decided to take action, right? So when he remembers Sarah, it's not that he forgot about her condition. He's off busy looking at the Canaanites or something, and he didn't remember about Sarah. It meant he's taking action now. I'm going to take action now, right? Okay. Regarding, I'm taking action, I would say, because of beriti, my covenant. But it's fine to be literal. I'm pretty sure in my book I translated it literally. Okay. Shalom, Dr. De Vera. All right. Exodus chapter 6, verse 6. Lachain emo livnei Yisrael. Lachain. So. It's like so, or kind of like a therefore, but not as strong as that. So. I think I'll just go with so. Emo. I will say. Livnei Yisrael. Lamed is to the Bnei Israel. What is he going to say? Sorry, this is a very big one. I got to keep moving around. Ani Adonai vehutseti etchem mitachet sivlot Mitzrayim. Okay, so let's come back. Sorry. Maybe there. That all fits pretty good. Okay. I am Adonai. And hotseti, I will bring out. So notice, hotseti, this is a Hifil So that hey at the beginning is telling us it's hifil. That's causative from yatsa. The verb is yatsa. Yod sadi aleph, meaning to go out, right? Like a yatzea is, an exit, motza, etc., etc. So with verbs that start with yod, it becomes a vav sometimes. So that's what's happening here. It became a vav. Okay? Sorry about that. So I will cause to go out, meaning I will bring out. That sounds better in English, right? Vehutseti, and hotseti means I brought out, but the vav, again, changes the time. And I will bring out, or so is probably better. So I will bring out etchem, you all. Mitachet, from underneath. The sivlot Mitzrayim, the burdens of Egypt. Vehitzalti etchem, and I will natsal etchem. Natsal, nun tzadi lamed, means snatch up. I will snatch up. Metaphorically rescue. Okay? But the power of the verb in the mind of an Israeli hearing it back then, it would be about snatching up. That's just how you would express being rescued, right? By a deity. He snatched us up, right? You understand? So we wouldn't translate it this way in English, but this is something that's nice to be aware of. This is one of those little niceties that's lost, right? There's different ways to say rescue, okay? This particular one means snatched up. So I'm just going to be hyper little right now, so you can get that in your mind. Maybe you like that. Maybe you can share that with someone. Vehitzalti etchem, and I will snatch up. Hitzalti means snatched up, past. Vehitzalti, and I will snatch up etchem, you all, yuts, y'alls. Me avodatam. So here we have some nice Hebrew parallelism. Okay, these two words. Sivlot, it is burdens, but it's like implying brick type burdens, right? Heavy burdens. Avodah is just like any kind of blue collar work, right? Labor. Me avodatam, from their avodah, their labor. Vegaalti etchem. Sorry, I want to keep reading. It's so hard not to keep reading. It's so powerful. Gaal. So, Yeshua, HaMashiach, on the Passover Seder. Some say this was a Galilean Seder, which was done the night before, right? In the Galilean tradition. He lifted up, we're told, the cup of redemption. He lifts up the fourth cup. This is the cup of the cup for the Goel, right? Or Geula, redemption, right? The Kos Geula. Okay, the cup of redemption. And he says, drink this, right, in remembrance of me, right? And with this cup, etc., all that stuff. The significance of that cup is that he is the Goel Yisrael, the Redeemer of Israel, right? He's the one who redeemed us. So there's a nice little echo here with this verb. So Ga'alti means I redeemed. Ve means and I will redeem. And I will redeem etchem, you all, bizroa. Zeroa is an arm. Okay? And you might be asking, well, what's the difference with yad? Yad also means arm. Zeroa oftentimes implies this upper part of the arm. And it can be the whole thing. It can be here all the way down. Whereas yad could just be a hand, or it could be the forearm to here. So there's some overlapping there, right? And there's Hebrew parallelism going on too. Because he says, up above we just read, if I can find it. Where were we? I'm looking for Beyad Chazakah. We had that. Oh, maybe it was the previous paragraph. Okay, on the other page. Anyway, so he said Beyad Chazakah with a strong arm, right? Or strong hand. And now we have Bizroa with an arm. Zeroa, an arm. What kind of arm? Netuya, outstretched. So imagine him. We just had the language about Hitzalti, vehitzalti, I will snatch them up, right? So God, to the ancient Israelis' mindset, he's up in the sky, right? And he's stooping down. He's going to, oftentimes we hear that he looks down on the Son of Man, etc. In this case, he's looking down. He's already taking action, right? Because of beriti, up there at the very top. I can't read there. Because beriti is covenant, right? And he's vehitzati says, I will snatch up etchem, you all. So we have this language already, right? And then fitting with that language, it continues on. And ga'alti, I will redeem etchem. And how's the arm going to be? Bezrua netuya. So he's up above, snatching up with an outstretched arm. In other words, it's coming all the way down to earth, right? His arm is coming all the way down. And this is not just the way that ancient Israelis understood kind of like language from the deity. The Egyptians do too. It's also about the hand and the arm and the finger. Like you'll remember, like the advisors to the Pharaoh, they talk about, oh, this is the etzboat Elohim, this is the finger of God, right? And so they'll be saying, we can't do anything about this. This is already, there's a finger coming down, Dr. Ner says, Natsal carries the idea of rapture of the Christian theology. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, being taken up, right? Scooped up. Okay. All right. Thanks for that, Doc. All right. And what? Uvishvatim gedolim. And with mighty judgments. Literally with mishpat shifatim. These are judgments. What kind? Gedolim. Great ones, with great judgments. So you see how vav is being used for with? So don't just think that it only means in, right? A lot of people, they just learn the gloss in, but there's actually a lot more to vav than the in. Okay? Verse 7. Velakachti etchem. So again, lakachti, I took. The vav changes it. And I will take etchem, you all, li, for me, le'am, as a people, vehaiti, so haiti means I was, vehaiti means and I will be, or I will become, lachem, for you all, le'elohim, for God, vidatem, Yadatem means you knew or you know. Vidatem means and you will know. Ki ani Adonai, that I am Adonai. Elohechem, your Elohim. Right? So we drop the mem from the Elohim when we put a suffix on, right? Sorry, James, could you elaborate a bit more? I'm not really understanding your question there, Achi. Okay, here we go. Hamotzi. So you see, okay, what we have here is a Hifil participle. Motzi. Motzi means one who brings out, right? From yatsa. Yatsa to go out or to exit. The mem there, this is helping us to form a Hifil causative, okay? Motzi, brings out, right? Oh, you should know this, right? And I'll tell you in a second. So in Torah Hebrew, predominantly, also in other parts of the Nach, but another method develops in later biblical Hebrew, when you put a hey in front of a participle, if the participle is representing a person, the hey is kind of a shorthand for asher. It means who. In the later prophets, we end up with she as a prefix, right? But that's not what's happening here. This is the hey. So hamotzi means who brings out or who brings forth. Shalom, Brenda. Oh, okay. I got you now. Thanks, James. Okay, James was saying the Greek word for rapture. Yep, parosia. Yeah, although it's not really rapture in Greek. Yeah, it's really like an upgoing, something like this, right? And there's other meanings for it too. There's a lot of other meanings. Rapture is kind of a highly massaged English word. Yeah, so. Okay. So we say the blessing for the bracha for the bread, right? Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, who brings forth bread from the earth. Hamotzi, see, so there it is, hamotzi. So this is Hashem talking about himself. Hamotzi, who brings out etchem, or you could say who exoduses etchem, you all. Mitzrachat, from underneath sivlot Mitzrayim, the burdens, and this is implying about brickwork of Egypt, Mitzrayim. Okay. Before we go to verse 8, by the way, nice, we got a good turnout right now. Please make sure to hit the like if you guys like what I'm doing. I would greatly appreciate that, and I will take a 30-second break. Okay, sorry about that. I was requesting water. Just finished my water. It's hot down here. Okay. Verse 8. Veheveti etchem. So this is from Ba, right? Like we have the Baruch haba b'shem Adonai. I know I usually use that example, but I think that works for most people. So Ba is to come. The He in front of it tells us this is Hifil, or causative. So to cause to come means to bring, right? Veheveti. Heveti means I brought. It can mean other things too, but for now we'll stick with that. And ve changes the time, so veheveti, and I will bring etchem, you all, el haaretz asher nasati et yadi latet. Okay, sorry, it's just hard to break that up. Okay, and I will bring etchem, you all, el unto haaretz, the land, asher, which, nasati, which I lifted up. Nasa is to lift. I lifted up, et yadi, my hand, my yad. Right, this thing here, right? Lifted up my yad. He doesn't mean this. He means the actual hand. James asks, when Yeshua is talking about being the bread, do you think he's saying lechem or matzah or moti? Yeah. Okay, so I think he's probably saying lechem, when he talks about being the bread of life and that sort of stuff, right? It would have been understood. The matzah has another name. It's got kind of a euphemistic name. The lechem oni, right? The bread of affliction, right? So he could still say bread. You could even technically in Hebrew you can refer to matzah as lechem, right? Although usually we'll say matzah, right? Because we're saying, oh look, we're eating matzah. Yeah, so that's a good question. I think probably lechem. Yeah, at least in the Greek, I can't think of the word offhand, but I know it maps to either one of those. Yeah, so okay, which in Hebrew does too, right? Matzah is the bread of affliction. So, all right. Nice comment. Oh, but there is in John, he does use the word for matzah. I remember seeing that. So, all right. Nasati et yadi, I lifted up my hand, latet, to give, otah, her, meaning the erets, the land. LeAvraham, LeYitzchak, uLeYaakov. To Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Venatati. Natati means I gave. Okay, and you would have expected natanti, right? But that final end sound, it's inside of the tav. That's why you have that dagesh there. Natati, I gave. Venatati, and I will give. Otah, her, meaning the land. Lachem, to you all. Morasha. Morasha is, well, this can mean a couple of things. It can either mean like an inheritance or a heritage, right? So clearly the land is not heritage. So an inheritance. Ani Adonai, I am Adonai. Woo! We got through that one big block. That is a big one. Just see the picture again. Okay. It's hot in here. I'm using a lot of lights, so bear with me if I'm sweating a bit. All right. So we've got Moshe and Aharon talking to the people. And let's make the Hebrew a bit bigger. Okay. There we go. Oh, James, it just came to me. Sorry, not in John. It's when Rav Shaul, the Apostle Paul, is talking about let's then keep the feast, not with the bread of malice, etc., etc. He uses the specific word for matzah in the Greek there, which I can't think of offhand, but if I saw it, I would remember it. Right. Dr. Ver, I think might be a little bit behind where we're at. He says ha as prefix, meaning the one who. Right, right. Yay. Thank you. Hudatos dontos in Greek, living water. All right, so let's continue. Verse 9. Vaidaber Moshe. Then Moshe spoke. Cain, such, El Bnei Israel, to the children of Israel. Velo shama'u, but they did not hear. Really, the idea is obey, right? El Moshe. They didn't obey Moshe. They didn't listen to Moshe. We can say it like that. They didn't listen to Moshe. That's better. Me, from, oftentimes from can mean because. It's used like for the reason for something in Hebrew. Because of kotzer, shortness of ruach, of breath, right? Not necessarily spirit, right? But here breath. Doesn't mean shortness of wind. We have to understand it means breath. Although the usual word for breath would be neshama, but that's fine. Ume avodah, and because of the labor, kasha, harsh, the harsh labor. So this is the noun, here's the adjective. They're in agreement, both in an a. Avodah kasha. I usually translate this back-breaking labor, something like that. Okay. Great. Okay. Here is verse 10. And we'll be finishing up soon. Moshe's sad, right? The people aren't listening. Vaidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Then Adonai spoke unto El Moshe lemor, saying, verse 11, Bo daber el Paro melech Mitzrayim v'shalach et bnei Israel me'artso. Bo. This is an interesting choice of words here. And I don't think this comes across usually in the English. We've got midrashim about this, why this, like, he's not saying go. He's saying come. Look at that. Bo means come, right? We have one song, Bo elifanav birnana. Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay. Bo, come with the spirit, rejoicing. Okay, so Bo. Bo is come. So the Midrash talks about how, not the Midrash, pardon me, the Mikot Gadol talks about how the idea is Hashem is already there. He's encouraging Moshe. He's saying, I'm already there. Come over here where I'm at. Okay? So he's implying by the usage of this word. Usually we would expect lech, go. That's what he tells Avram. Lech lecha, right? He doesn't say bo lecha, come for yourself, right? He says lech, go. I'm with you right now talking to you. Go over there. Okay? But here he's saying bo, come. So come. Daber, speak, although usually people just translate go, okay? But I just want you to understand there is some significance in the fact that this word is used in the Hebrew. Daber, this is an imperative, a command form, PL imperative. Speak. Okay, and this is harsher than saying emor, say. Speak. El Paro, unto Pharaoh, Melech Mitzrayim, the king of Egypt. V'shalach, that he should send out Et Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, me'artso, from his erets, from his land. Sorry, my water bottle's visible. Can't quite get that there. Let's see. Okay, so you see the whole picture. Let me just have a drink of water. Bear with me. Okay. Vaydaber Moshe lifnei Adonai lemor. Vaydaber Moshe, sorry, that was too fast. Then Moshe spoke, Lifnei Adonai, before Adonai, Le'emor, saying, Hein b'nei Israel lo shama'u elai. Look, Hein, this is the same as Hineni. Look, behold, the b'nei Israel lo shama'u elai. They won't listen to me. Ve'ech, so how yishma'ini Pharaoh? How will Pharaoh listen to me? Yishma, right? To hear, he will hear. Me. Va'ani aral svatayim. And I am uncircumcised lips, is what he's saying. Aral. Right? Kind of strange language, but, saying I have trouble speaking. Okay. Look at Moshe. Oh, that's pretty good. And Aaron's just praying. And Moshe's like, oh no. All right, here it comes. Verse 13. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe ve'el Haron. So Adonai spoke el unto Moshe ve'el unto and unto Aharon. Vaytzaveim, and he commanded them. El b'nei Israel. So this is what we'd call a pregnant expression. So it means we're going to double translate this word. He commanded them to command. So, and he commanded them to order, maybe El b'nei Israel, unto the children of Israel, El Paro, and unto Pharaoh, Melech Mitzrayim, the king of Egypt, Lahotzi, to bring out Et b'nei Israel, may erets Mitzrayim, from the land of Egypt. And how are we on time? Let's see. Let me just have a look here. That might be a good place to stop for tonight. We did a couple pages. Oh yeah, I think we're going to stop. Look at the next one. let me show you that. Artist is getting a little bit, I'm not feeling I got what I paid for now. Look, so we have one big picture. Big old picture, and then all of that text. The artist is probably like, how am I going to make different pictures for this? Let's just make the text the picture, man. So that's a lot of verses. I think we'll do that next time. Any other comments or questions? So what are we ending with? Verse 13. I'll update the description to say that. 13. You guys have anything else you want to ask me about? All right, then. Please make sure to click like if you liked it. Leave some comments. I appreciate how James has been doing that lately. You guys feel free. Open up the discussion there. I'm not sure do you have to have a phone number for Telegram, James? He said he's having trouble getting in to Telegram because you need a cell phone or something like that. Yeah, sorry if you do need one. Okay, go ahead. James has a quick question. I have a quick question. Is there a Hebrew baptism formula? So, in the Jewish world, baptism we call mikveh, right? Mikveh. And it's not something that happens, you're very welcome, Brenda. It's not something that happens just once, right? You don't just get baptized and you're done, okay? It's all throughout different life stages we have baptism, right? Or we don't call that, it's mikveh, right? But, so I'm not sure what you mean by formula. Shalom, Elizabeth. You're very welcome. But there are some differences between the way that the Goyim do baptism. So, for example, in the Jewish tradition from which Goyish baptism was born, we have to have what's called mayim chayim, or hudotos zontos, right, in Jewish Greek, living water, right? And what living water is, this is water that's coming from a source, or it's just so enormous and it's moving that it's considered to have a source. So, for example, a spring, right, like a river, right? This is considered a proper place for baptizing, right? Like we see Yeshua is baptized in the Jordan River, right? Because that would have been mayim chayim, living water. Even though it's incredibly muddy, but still, it's mayim chayim, it's flowing, right? A swimming pool doesn't count. Can't do it in a swimming pool, right? That's at least in the Jewish way, right? So if I'm not sure if that's what you mean by formula, like kind of like what's allowed. So you can't do that. The ocean counts, right? The ocean or the sea, that counts as living water, right? You can have that there, and you're supposed to. The best way to do it is you have like a towel or a robe or something on, and you take it off and you immerse yourself totally naked. Okay, it has to be complete immersion. You go totally underneath, right? You stay down there. Actually, first you say a bracha before you go under, okay? And then you're a blessing, and then you're totally submerged. You stay down for a little bit, and you come up, and you say another blessing, okay? So, okay, let's see. So, Davey says, Hebrew for the New Testament, any recommendations? Okay, so that's a good question. So, personally, okay, there's 3 translations that I'm aware of. Well, there's 4, but the 4th I wouldn't ever recommend. One is the Hebrew New Testament, which is a modern translation that Dr. Dwayne reads that every year through. And, maybe he could comment more to it. I'm not a big fan of modern Hebrew for scripture, but I think Dwayne agrees with me on this. You chime in if you're here, Dwayne, let me know. One thing that I don't like is it's translated from the Greek anyway, right? So how's this really helping me to put in the modern Hebrew, which isn't the biblical dialect, we could say, right? So the translation that I like, usually I do the Greek myself, right? So I'll either read in English or I'll read in Greek for the apostolic writings, okay? I don't usually just go to Hebrew, because the Hebrew is translated from the Greek anyway, right? So, but the one that I like to go to when I want to compare with Hebrew. So, by the way, in our Revelation class, that's what we were doing, right? We look at the original Greek and we kind of reconstruct the Hebrew into biblical Hebrew, right? That's kind of like the oomph of that class. And we're just waiting for my new laptop to come back in, and we'll probably start that class up again. So, it's just I don't want to be locked down in the studio. I can't move this laptop. If I move it, it won't turn on for 3 days. So, and it's dark out down here. There's no windows. It's kind of depressing to be down here for all day long prepping a class, right? So when I have a laptop that I can actually move upstairs, back and forth, and we'll probably get back into that. So the gospel, if you want a Hebrew translation, I recommend the it's called. Hold on, I'm having a brain cloud. The something Ginsburg. Why can't I think of it? It's not Jacobson. It's the something Ginsburg. I can't believe. It's funny. Ginsburg is usually the name that I forget, because he only did one little bit, like I think Acts, part of Acts he translated. And the rest was all translated by the one guy, Salkinson. The Salkinson Ginsburg Hebrew New Testament. Salkinson. Salkinson Ginsburg Hebrew New Testament. I like that one. It's like very close to biblical Hebrew, the style they translated in, so I appreciate that. I know Rabbi Yechezkiel likes the Delitzsch translation. I don't like that one as much. It's got a lot of Mishnaic Hebrewisms in there, but for people who are really into the Mishnah and stuff, like you're really into doing Talmud, I could see why that would be appealing. Delitzsch, by the way, the Salkinson Ginsburg was translated. Salkinson was Jewish, okay, and his father was a rabbi and all the stuff, but he died when he was young. And anyway, so Salkinson translated that from the Greek himself. Ginsburg did one part that Salkinson couldn't finish. Delitzsch is kind of a mystery. Delitzsch officially was a German, but there's a lot of controversy over whether he was Jewish or not. There's like an old Jewish guy that he kept up in his attic, nobody knows who that was, right? So I kind of wonder if he was like an undercover Jew, maybe, Delitzsch, right? And then there's another one, the Shem Tov translation. You do not want that. The Shem Tov was basically a Hebrew translation that was kept by anti-missionaries, by Jews who were against Messianic Jews. And so it's kind of a derogatory, makes Yeshua look a little bit stupid sometimes. And that is not a good, don't go with the Shem Tov. Yeah, that's not, you don't ever want that. That's from Matthew, I think they only have for. James says this keeps coming up in debates with Catholics. Okay. The Holy Spirit. I didn't see what you wrote, James. James asked about the Shem Tov, Hebrew Matthew. Amazing. Sorry, I didn't see that before. Yeah, don't. It's not good. It's it's a product of anti-missionaries. Okay, and basically the Shem Tov translation, the only way that we even have this math translation of Matthew into Hebrew is from a commentary that is a polemic against Messianic Judaism, against the New Testament. Okay, and in the polemic, they do a verse by verse commentary showing that this is so stupid, right? Blah blah blah. And so the Shem Tov translation, it's a reconstructed Hebrew translation by taking a polemic against the New Testament, and they reconstruct. Because he comments verse by verse for Matthew, they pull it out, and then that's the Shem Tov translation. Okay, but it's got some things that are really not favorable for Yeshua in there, and you can tell it's corrupted. There might be some truth in there, who knows? But you can tell it's been corrupted by people who did not like him. I don't mean people like race. I mean people like anti-missionaries. Christopher says, so the laptop resurrects after 3 days. Oh, that's right. Sometimes 2. I've had it happen after 1 even before, yeah. So, but usually 3. That's right. Usually 3. Davey liked that too. Yeah, so Brenda mentions the Hebrew Gospel. So I like these guys for a different reason. I'm not on board with their Hebrew Gospels, though. They're interesting, though. These are some interesting fellas. I like them for their putting Nehemiah Gordon in his place and exposing him for the charlatan that he is. That's what I like them for, those guys. Yeah, I had some back and forth email with those guys a couple of years ago because people used to always ask me, oh, what about Nehemiah Gordon, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. You can kind of see, if you look at his old videos, you can see how he's kind of metamorphized and changed over time, but doesn't know what he's talking about. Has no clue what the name of God is. It's just, the only reason anybody knows about him is because Michael Rood hates Messianic Jews. And because Michael Rood hates Messianic Jews and Nehemiah Gordon hates the rabbis and Messianic Jews like the rabbis, well, they both love each other. So even though Nehemiah Gordon has he doesn't believe in Yeshua, but somehow he got a big platform with Michael Rood and Shabbat Night Live and all that stuff. So yeah, anyway, anytime somebody would ask me about Nehemiah Gordon, it took a lot of work at it to show and prove, look, he's full of it with this, he doesn't know what he's talking about with this, or he's lying. One of the two. He's either full of it or he's lying. Those are the choices you got, right? So, I mean, my goodness, I remember one time he's showing, oh, look what I found, lost in the Vatican archives, and he puts up some paper there, and it's got the name of God and some other stuff, and it's bad Hebrew. I'm looking at it, and he's like, this was just hidden in the archives. It's not filed even. And I'm looking at it. It's so clear. It's a priest's Hebrew homework. He's he's learning Hebrew. It's his exercises that he wrote out. And Nehemiah found this in the box. Oh, I'm so super excited. The name, I found it. Blah, blah. Just nonsense. Don't waste your time with that guy, please. Karaite, I don't know. There's so few Karaites left in the world today, and most of them are Egyptian. I went to the main Karaite synagogue one time in Jerusalem. Went walking around the city talking to the rabbi's son. We couldn't stand in the synagogue because they don't use fans on Shabbat. It's like the Karaites don't. It's so terrible. In August, this is. And, Nehemiah claims that he grew up Orthodox, but he doesn't have the knowledge that someone who grew up Orthodox would have. So anyway, what's great about the Hebrew Gospels guys that Brenda mentioned, they really just prove that Nehemiah should not be listened to. They've got 13 videos, and they show clips of Nehemiah, and then they will even explain to you the grammar why it doesn't make sense what he's saying. And one of my favorites is when he makes the claim about, he says that he proofread a scroll of Ezekiel one time, right? And then the Hebrew Gospel guys say, well, why is he pretending like it's strange to not have the Holim on Yod He Vav He then in that particular scroll? Because in that scroll, every time you write Adonai with an Aleph, Dalet, Vav, presumably, although that's left out often, Nun, Yod, the O is left off, right? That particular scribe didn't use it except in 2 places or something, 2 to 4, I can't remember. And so Nehemiah is acting like it's a big conspiracy, right? But if he had actually proofread it, he would have known that. So anyway, those guys are great. If you want to check out their response to Nehemiah Gordon, if you've kind of been wasting your time with that guy and you want to see that he really is full of it, check out the Hebrew Gospels guys. Now, their actual Hebrew Gospels, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Basically, they have reconstructed a Hebrew translation that is translated from Catalan. Catalan is the language that's spoken in, what's that city in Spain? Close to the border with France. I don't like it, that city actually. Madrid is beautiful, but this one's just, I don't know, it feels kind of yuck. Barcelona. In Barcelona, they speak Catalan. It's kind of like French and Spanish combined, right? Like, because they're on the border, it's like a hybrid, right? So basically, the idea is that some Messianic Jews, they had Hebrew Gospels, and they didn't want to be caught and persecuted, so they translated them into Catalan. And then later, the Hebrew Gospels were lost, and then they were reverse engineered back into Hebrew from the Catalan, right? So the idea is that they were preserved in another language, in Catalan, and then brought back into Hebrew. So the reason I don't like this is when you go from one language to another, there's lots of choices that are made, right? And it's not always easy to put it back with the... You've seen how highly nuanced Hebrew is. So sometimes there might be many choices. So if you're going to jump into a European language and then go back into Hebrew, I don't believe in the caliber of Hebrew you're going to get back out of that from the original, right? Like, it's not like encrypting where you got the private key and the public key and you bring it back out. It's exactly the same, right? You're going into a totally different language, a Romance language, right? From a Semitic language, and then back. So, but to be fair, I haven't fully followed all their arguments. They might have some good, and they're good guys. These guys are from South Africa. They live in Australia now. But I really like their scholarship. I love their series on Nehemiah Gordon. They really put in the effort, and they just really want people to understand. I don't like that they sometimes say the name of God. They don't do it that often, though. They're very respectful, at least. They're not like the sacred namers or whatever, so... James asks, what about... Oh, okay, hold on. Before that, there's others. Learn Video Productions, welcome, says, watching from India. Okay, welcome from India. Shalom. We're just finishing up. We actually finished the teaching. We're just having some little Q&A afterwards, but you're welcome anytime, friend. James says, what about one for Israel? So, I think that's an evangelical group, isn't it? I think they're more about missionizing Jews, really, than Messianic studies. I see their commercials sometimes or whatever, and I kind of get a bad feeling from it, like my spirit's disturbed. I could be wrong. I could be way out on left field, so please. I don't want to... That's just my feelings. I don't want to say anything against them. I think they're an evangelical group, but you let me know if I'm wrong on that, right? They're not Messianic Jews, is my understanding. Brenda says, would it not be good as second and third witness as to the overall truth? Yeah, so if... Yeah, sure, Brenda. Look, even I want the original Catalan is what I'd like. I'd love to see a critical apparatus to the Greek that references these Catalan documents. That would be awesome, right? And they tell us what the Hebrew, they could pull in the Hebrew or whatever, little footnotes. That'd be great. It might be the real deal, right? So if it's the real deal, then there's a lot of value in trying to pursue that, right? I'm just not sure that I buy... It feels like wishful thinking to me that really for, was it 1,500 years or 1,600 years? I think it was saying the 1,600s. We had it in Hebrew, and then it got translated into Catalan, and then it's lost. The original got lost. I can totally be wrong on this, though. And I'm not saying there's no value in it. And, these guys, they're on fire to find the Hebrew Gospels. They really want it. So maybe HaShem is using them for that. And I would actually like if some of you are interested in it, you let me know. I'm just giving you a summary from what I noticed with them. I found them because of the Nehemiah Gordon stuff, and so I think they're rock stars with how they dealt with him. So, which means that the other stuff that they're really into, there's probably value there. These guys are very smart. They really know biblical Hebrew very, very well, and so it's not like a lot of these fakers out there like Nehemiah. Scholars, Hebrew scholars. Give me a break. James says, right now they have a series on Rashi in opposition to Singer. Great. That's great. Yeah, they're continuing to do good stuff. Nice. I'll have to check that out. Brenda says, by the way, Tovia Singer's another liar. So careful with that guy. If you want an intellectually honest Orthodox opinion, there's lots of Orthodox rabbis that do debates. You can watch debates with them and stuff. But Tovia Singer, he has no problem just telling a lie. So that's why I recommend against watching his stuff. I've personally called him in many lies. Brenda says, also clarity on some things like the tree of life and Revelation. Yeah, I'm sure they've got some good work that's come out of their high focus. Yeah, I just haven't been following them a couple years. Yeah, so it's been at least a couple of years since so I'm not really caught up on what they're doing lately. I'm not equipped to comment too well, except for the basis of their Hebrew Gospels is from the Catalan language, being reversed back into Hebrew. Oh, no, I think they have the Hebrew, but it came from Catalan, right? It at least came out of Catalan. And sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name of that language. It's, it's like one city that speaks it. It's like, okay, good. I think that's good. You guys, I'm really glad. Thanks for coming in. Tomorrow, no clash. It's Shabbat here in the Philippines, Friday night. But we probably will live broadcast our Shabbat service again on Shabbat like we did last time. If you're curious in the Midrash from last Shabbat, it's still up. I left it up all week. It's probably going to come down tomorrow. Come down on Shabbat, after Shabbat, Motzi Shabbos, when the new one's up. So feel free to check it out. It's on this channel. It's called something triennial, whatever. Anyway. All right, you guys be well. You're very welcome, Christopher and all. Thank you, everyone, for coming in. Hey, and the Indian fellow, Learn Video Production, come check us out over on Telegram. I'd like to talk to you. You can reach us with the Telegram app, and the address is https:// all that secure stuff, t.me, like me, / all one word, Messianic Chat. Okay? We also have the same thing, Hebrew literacy over there. If you're just interested in the Hebrew stuff, that's fine. But if you want the more general Messianic talk, come over to the Messianic Chat one. All right, shalom, shalom. You guys be well. Have a great evening or morning, whatever the case.